Buongiorno, bellas, or who am I kidding? Other men. Adam Clery from FourFourTwo here, and Riccardo Calafiori, depending on when this video goes out, has either just gone to Arsenal or is just about to go to Arsenal. Arriving in a very spenny deal from Bologna, he's going into Arsenal's back four, which is probably not one of the positions we expected Arsenal to be in the market, but such is his ability, his standing, and the transfer fee. They are buying him to play. But who is he? Why is he? Where is he? How is he? We will look at all of these things right now and explain why this could be a pretty big deal for Arsenal. Okay, so just quickly, though, before I start, this isn't analysis, by the way, but just does anybody think that the vibes of this transfer are wrong? A young, robust, technical, talented, strappingly handsome Italian central defender going to Arsenal and probably being a success just doesn't feel right. Like, you just look at this man here and tell me he does not scream 18 disastrous months at Chelsea, followed by going back to Italy and winning like 4 Scudettos with 3 different teams twice as captain. I'm right, aren't I? But anyway, never mind, that is not the reality we are living in. He is going to Arsenal, and despite the fact this feels like a bit of an out of left field transfer, if you look at what he can offer them and what they specifically are lacking, it feels like it could make a lot of sense. So first off, he isn't just like another centre-back. Arsenal do not need another centre-back. They've got 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗏, they've got Gabriel, Ben White could conceivably play there. Kyrgios's there in case of emergency. That's not an area they need to focus on. But while he played the overwhelming majority of his minutes at Bologna as the left-sided centre-back, he also started and occasionally moved into the left-back area. And the reason for this like dual role he's got is because he's incredibly comfortable on the ball. Obviously, he's got all the defensive solidity of a centre-back. He excels in that position, but he also progresses the ball up the pitch and gets it into the middle of the park with great ease. This is his heat map from the entire season at Bologna last year, and obviously you can see he spends loads of time where you'd expect as a left centre-back moving the ball up the pitch. He's also out wide quite a lot. He's very good at sort of finding channels, finding avenues, and then spending a lot of time in the opposition third. Wait, no, not thirds, half, that's it. Now, despite how much I use them, I do always preach let's not get too carried away with someone's FBref profile, because it only tells you so much, but nonetheless, he's got an FBref profile that could get you carried away. Like, first off, the defensive side of it, it all looked really solid. It's what you'd expect from an elite centre-back, but the interceptions, his reading of the play, virtually nobody else in Serie A last season or even across Europe was reading the ball and cutting it out as well as he was. Now, interceptions, I always particularly think, are a really good marker of an intelligent footballer, because it's all well and good to be charging around, winning the ball back, slide tackling here, and getting into people there. Ow! But the ability to not have to do that and instead just cut out a pass because you've successfully read what the opposition are going to do is so much better, because you've not had to go to ground. You can carry the ball from there. You can start counter-attacks. But what's really exciting about him is what he does on the ball. Like, here's a few choice excerpts, right? And a few that should jump out at you are his carrying numbers. He loves to get on the ball, drive that up the pitch. In terms of defenders that are creating chances for their teammates here, his shot creating action numbers are some of the best in Europe, whether they're from take-ons, whether they're from like tackles and interceptions, that's what the defensive actions means here, or just passes in open play. And the thing is, even if you've not watched any Bologna this season, you've probably actually seen that live and in living colour. Like, if you cast your mind back to Italy, Croatia at the Euros, the Italians were on the verge of going out, and Calafiori, who actually already moved out to left back in that game, gets on the ball in a central area. Short of options, you can see him literally gesturing for someone in front of him to do something. He drives up the pitch instead, goes through the Croatian midfield, gets to the edge of the box after playing a neat little 1-2, I might add, and the composure and the technique just to roll this across unpanicked as the tackle comes in leads to that goal. That's the kind of thing he really likes to do. And just one other really small one here, right? Passes into the penalty area. Great, because he gets into those areas and he finds teammates, but also, not to be dismissed, crosses into the penalty area. Yes, he can get on the ball and run it up the gullet of the opposition, but he's also not afraid just to get out a little bit wider into a little bit more space and whip it in instead, which we will come back to. So anyway, you put together these brilliant on-the-ball progressive numbers and you combine them with his really good reading of the game and his defensive solidity, and that effectively gives you the perfect balance between Kyrgios and Zinchenko. Because that was a fairly major decision Arteta was having to make last season. Like, do you want to go with Zinchenko and get his ball progression, his ball carrying, his possession ability to help you dominate the play, but at the same time sacrifice a bit of the defensive solidity because he's only a little guy? Or do you want to be as robust at the back as you possibly can and then just hope that what 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 can do on the ball, which isn't to be dismissed, but it's certainly not at a top level, will get you through? So Calafiori, in theory, does then give you the best of both worlds there. He's able to get on the ball and help you dominate possession and create chances in the opposition half, but he's not going to be as easily targeted by the opposition. And I think what might be quite encouraging for Arsenal here is that while Italy did look really underwhelming as a unit in the Euros, he stood out not just for his ability, but for his adaptability. Like, if we look at his pass map from the Albania game, you can see he's really heavily involved in what they're trying to do, and he sort of stays in this sort of left-sided channel. So coming up from the centre-back, staying in pretty much a sort of narrow vertical line and helping them dominate the ball by being one of the bodies here. And obviously that's good for Arsenal because they're one of the best teams in the Premier League. They're going to have loads of games next season where the opposition just try and sit back and congest this area. So having someone who's really comfortable on the ball there is very beneficial. But against Croatia, where Italy really struggled to get on the ball in a meaningful way and there was virtually no chance of them dominating those central zones, look how his pass map changes. All of a sudden, there's very few passes in that central area. He's not trying to get in there and make a difference because Croatia had control at the middle of the pitch. Instead, he's allowing himself to drop out into these wider areas where there was a bit more space so he can better impact the game. And that specifically leads to him doing something you'd probably never expect your left-sided centre-back to do, and that's get a ball like this into the box from this part of the pitch. And that's good for Arsenal because they're not going to dominate every single game. There's going to be some matches against other big sides or just teams at home who think they can take them on where you're going to need to find another way, where you're going to need to show a bit of adaptability. But honestly, right, what is most interesting about this transfer for me is not necessarily Calafiori's individual adaptability, it's the adaptability it's going to give Arsenal as a team. The way Arteta has had them playing for the last 2 seasons makes, in my opinion anyway, their 3 most important players, Ben White, Martin Ødegaard and Bukayo Saka. That right-hand side of the pitch is where Arsenal are magic. I think I saw it a million times last season, right? As Arsenal move the ball up the pitch, Saka likes to come inside, which allows Ødegaard to get out wide and create. Ben White then pushes up to give them a bit of ball retention and a counter-press threat. Or occasionally, Bukayo Saka, again, will come inside, but this time he gets an overlapping run from Ben White. Ødegaard can kind of float here, and it gives them all number of options for either creating or moving the ball around from that position. They do so much on that side. As a result, this is a very handy graph illustrating Arsenal's zones of attack across the entirety of last season. They are incredibly overbalanced on their right-hand side. They focus on it way more than the left. And yeah, I guess part of the reason for that is because you tend to have Trossard here, who's more of a goal threat than a creator, and you've got Declan Rice as the left-sided number 8, who is many things, but none of them are really a creator. But undoubtedly, one of the major reasons is because when they're building out slowly, they can't really start on this side. Either Zinchenko will be there and you'll want to move into the middle, so you've kind of lost that zone entirely, or if it's 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏, he's just not the player you're going to give the ball to drive past an opponent or carry it into a dangerous area or find a good pass. But you bring Calafiori in on this side, and it's obviously not going to change Arsenal overnight. They're still going to be way better advancing and attacking down the right-hand side, but it does give the opposition more to think about. It gives you more threat on that opposite flank. It makes you adaptable. Like, just to compare them directly, these are his interception and ball recovery numbers when compared to Zinchenko, who's still obviously a good player at doing that, but not anywhere near at his level. And these are his ball carrying and progression numbers when compared to 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏. Alexander Zinchenko is eggs, Jakub 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 is pancetta, and Riccardo Calafiori is like the nicest carbonara you've ever had sitting in a restaurant in the Amalfi Coast staring out at a sunset. But just as one final thought I'd like to give, right, I remember doing these videos for Arsenal's 2 biggest transfers last summer, which was Declan Rice, who was definitely going to be their pivot player and start at the number 6, and Kai Havertz, who was definitely going to be their left-sided number 8 to basically be an improvement on Granit Xhaka and get into the box. And instead, what we actually got was Kai Havertz replaced 𝗕𝗓𝗍𝗓 up front, which felt mad, and Declan Rice replaced Xhaka, which also felt mad, but it worked. So, who knows, maybe he comes in and Arsenal go to a back 3 with like Saka and Timber as the wing-back. Wouldn't that be exciting? Or maybe he's just identified something in Saliba or Gabriel that pushes them further forward and he comes in at centre-back. Maybe he's the fucking mascot. Who knows? That being said, though, if there is maybe one weakness to his play currently, it's that for all he reads the game very well, his positional sense can sometimes be a little bit out of tune. Like, he's still strong in the tackle, he's great in the air, all the other stuff you would look for in a defender, but he can occasionally just get the read of where he's supposed to be slightly wrong, which does feel like it slightly contradicts the interceptions thing. So sometimes he's very good at that, sometimes he sort of switches off. But he is like only 22, so that is a part of his game you would expect to improve the more minutes he gets and the longer he plays. Not something that I would think is a massive worry at this point. And I mean, saying that, that was only last season. He was a left back when he was coming through the youth ranks. It's just that 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 Motta took one look at him and went, oh no, you'll play in the centre. But yes, good transfer in my opinion. Interesting transfer, if nothing else. But Arsenal fans, that's just my opinion. Please let me know yours in the comments below. Is this getting you excited? Is this getting the blood pumping? Do you think this is an area worth addressing? Or would you rather seeing the money spent, I don't know, there? And of course, if you have enjoyed this video, it is now transfer season. I am the 𝗘𝗫𝗴𝗍 of that, so please do consider subscribing to us here at FourFourTwo. We will definitely have stuff about your club specifically. That is a promise. You can get me on all the social medias at 𝗘𝗫𝗓𝗍, The FourFourTwo socials are in the corner of the video. The latest issue of the magazine, forgot to bring it in here, but it will be on sale now, so go pick that up. And until next time, I don't know why I keep doing that in these videos, just mind starts wandering. I've been Adam Clery, this has been Riccardo Calafiori. We will see you next time, soon, later, bye.